Distinguished members of the Massachusetts Legislature, protective parents and allies, my name is Dr. Christine Marie Cocchiola. In the voice of the child, and research affirms, growing up in a home with a coercive controller has significantly impacted my developing brain. I have learned early on that I must regulate my behaviors like the protective parent has in order to support creating equilibrium in my home. Walking on eggshells is a part of my life. No one really notices there is abuse by the coercive controller because the abuse is often hidden. This has caused a hypervigilance in me. It may cause me to be easily stressed, dysregulated, to have attention difficulties, obsessive behaviors, anxiety, and of course, depression. Sadly, this may lead to relationships with controlling people and or to be controlling in order to feel safe. When I cannot feel safe in my own home, then self-worth is diminished. My ability to adapt to challenging situations compromised. This is what the coercive controller wants. If I am compromised, I will more readily align with a coercive controller and may even participate in some of the behaviors being modeled for me. That feels safer. My protective parent, stripped of her autonomy, may be unable to advocate for herself. Of course, when systems do not support her, she remains trapped. I quickly learned there is one parent with more power in the home. I quickly learned that it may be safer to align with the more powerful parent. The grooming process, similar to that of a sexual predator, for both me and my protective parent. Sometimes the coercive controller is a child sexual predator. The betrayal significant. The foundation of trust annihilated. I have one parent trying to protect me but unable to, and another parent that if I do not cooperate, then I may receive the same treatment as my protective parent has. It is so frightening, yet oftentimes I do not even know fear is what I am feeling. Make no mistake. This has been the plan all along. The coercive controller wanting to ensure they have this power over our family system. In the event my protective parent feels supported enough to escape, I will most certainly be weaponized against her and continue to live in this state of fear. Research explains that the trauma of hidden abuse is that much more complex. If you cannot see it, supposedly it didn't happen. How do I explain to anyone that my brain, my child brain, lives in reptilian mode, survival mode, all too frequently? Distinguished members, when gaslighting, manipulation, diminishing of autonomy are consistent and repetitive in the family system, then it makes sense the child's experiences are traumatic. Children that are living in these systems truly understand that they are an object, fulfilling the needs of the coercive controller, the love entirely conditional. Being authentic is something every single child needs to have for healthy development. In this home, I cannot be authentic. I am not loved unconditionally. I am a vulnerable child, a human dependent upon adult caretakers. Children are not witnesses of domestic abuse. This is a systematically unacknowledged child abuse. Codifying coercive control will give adult victims and survivors the ability to be heard and supported when they come forward, and give our children an opportunity to live in freedom, freedom from the entrapment of a coercive controller. As a trauma trained clinician, doctor in clinical social welfare, a coercive control expert, a survivor, and a protective parent, I see firsthand the significant intergenerational trauma that can be prevented simply by acknowledging this insidious nature of the offense. An offense, if perpetrated on a stranger, would be considered a crime. In closing, I have been doing this work since the age of 19, educating on this topic of coercive control as a college professor, and yet I remained in a coercively controlling relationship for 35 years, and my children were abused. It can happen to anyone, and anyone can be a coercive controller. Earlier this afternoon, you heard from the parents of Kiana Barrows. I guarantee Kiana's ex-boyfriend is a coercive controller. I guarantee it. He cannot change. His character traits are embedded within his personality, and the relationship didn't start off with physical violence, but as we have heard today, revenge at all costs, because the goal is always revenge at all costs. The violence all too often the final act. Thank you very much for your time.